How many radians is 30 degrees?
Oh, okay. I can take that, but let me, hang on one second. I'm going to pull up a
Unit circle?
unit circle.
My
How
favorites.
did you know? So radians, hang on one second. I need some images here. Otherwise, this is not going to make any sense.
Yeah, you really have to have that, like that
That
unit circle up.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's really going to be really confusing.
Okay. There we go. Not really. That's it's not working. Okay.
If only we were in your classroom, you'd probably have like 30 of them hanging all over the place.
I do, actually. Okay, while I find this, I'm going to maybe explain verbally really quick what radians are. Radians are a different way of measuring angles. So the most common way of measuring angles is by measuring them using degrees. Radians, they're another unit of measurement, another way to measure degrees. Let me pull this up. Okay, let's try this one. See if this works here. And a radian, there we go, I got my unit circle. So a radian is a measure of distance, unlike a degree. So if I were measuring an angle, say I had an angle here, and if I were measuring with degrees, I would be, you've probably used a protractor, you're measuring really this portion of the angle right here, that little spot there. When you're measuring with using radians, what you're really actually measuring is the arc length, how long the length of the arc is between the two line segments, how long that is. Now, a radian is based off of, and we'll say right here, a radian is based off of the radius of a unit circle. Now, a unit circle, that sounds kind of complicated, and what you're looking at right here also might look complicated, but all it is a circle that has a radius of 1 unit. So it's 1 unit long, and that's actually the distance of a radian. So what I want you to picture is, picture that I have a string that is that long, that is as long as that 1 unit, that red line that I drew there. So picture you have a string that is right there, and if you were to lay it on top of the arc of this circle, so that's about, I'm just estimating right here, that's about the same length as that red right there. So this would be about 1 radian. In fact, it's about 57 degrees, something like that. And if I were to kind of keep doing this around my circle here, so here would be, here would be about the distance of another radian. So this would be about, and again, I'm just estimating. So here's 2 radians. And then if I keep going with that, this would be about the distance, about 3 radians right here. Now, where I'm going with this is that if we were to think about how many radians are in half of a circle, there's actually a little bit more than 3, and that number is actually a very special number in math. So if I were being really accurate here, I'm just kind of estimating, it would be 3.14 ... which is pi. So there would be exactly pi radians in 180 degrees. If I were to go the whole way around the circle, I'd have 2 pi radians, because I'd have pi times 2. So 2 pi are in 360 degrees. So the rest of my radians are derived based on this proportional relationship. For example, if I were to think about 90 degrees, all right, so 180 degrees is pi, 90 degrees is half of 180, so 90 degrees would be pi halves, or pi divided by 2. And the rest of mine are derived this way. Oops, not 3, 2. So let's say I wanted to know 30 degrees. If I know how 30 degrees is related to 180 degrees, like what fraction it is, so 30 out of 180 degrees, I would know how many radians, I'm going to say x, there are in the whole thing, or in our pi, in half of our circle, not the whole thing. So it's a proportional relationship. I can set up a proportion, just like I just did there, since 180 degrees and pi radians are the same. And I want to know how many radians are 30 degrees out of 180. And so it's just kind of a simple relationship, or a simple problem to solve. We're going to cross multiply. We have 30 times pi is going to be equal to 180 times x. We're going to divide by 180. And what ends up happening if we simplify this fraction here, that's equal to 1/6. So because 30 degrees is 1/6 of 180 degrees, our radian is going to be pi divided by 6. So 30 degrees is pi 6 radians. There's our answer. So that was a little bit of trigonometry. So if you understood that, you're doing pretty good on the trig front.
Yeah,
So,
trig is a lot of memorization, honestly.
Yes, it is.
And I think there are a lot of ways to like figure things out without memorizing, but when you get into trigonometry, it's so much more useful to just memorize everything. Otherwise, you spend way too much time doing all these other calculations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can always figure it out. Like I was showing you how to figure that out and how to kind of reason through why it was what it was. My trig teacher, the first quiz I got was blank unit circle, go, fill
That's
it in.
what I used to do, yeah. They loved it. They actually did after a couple days.
After they
and they
realized the
knew it all,
patterns,
then they just
yeah.
got tired of writing it.
Very true.